To invite up Arrin Jacob now, and he is going to come and give us a bit of a history of the work of God in the Bangladesh and community. And so, come on up, Arrin.
Good day, everyone, fellow peers, organizers, and of course, attendees, believers and non-believers alike. It is an incredible honor and privilege to speak to you all this evening on this historic event, honoring the legacy left behind by the Apostle St. Thomas when he made the voyage to preach the gospel in India in 52 AD. A land enriched with cultural extraordinance and a vast cornucopia of landmark elements, from language, cuisine, and everything in between. The history of religion within India and across the South Asian subcontinent is imbued in its complexity, but also is compelling in comprising the sanctity of a vastly diverse nation. Taking a further step back, a vastly diverse sub-region. But I'd like to take this opportunity to speak on the historical significance of one particular region, the significance of Christianity that it has had, and the genesis of its initial spread and social awareness across societies, specific to the land of where I would personally trace my ancestral roots from, in Bengal. Beginning with Portuguese settlers that introduced Christianity to Bengal in the 16th century, the Jesuits and the Augustinians were the main Catholic orders involved in missionary work for about 2 centuries. The Jesuits established a school and a hospital in the Hooghly area with permission from Emperor Akbar in 1598 to 99. They stayed in Bengal until the late 18th century. The Augustinians played a significant role in spreading Christianity and established a monastery in Hooghly in 1599. Later expanding to other centers, including the city of my birth in Dhaka. And in around 1630, there were about 7,000 Christians in Hooghly, comprising Portuguese, their Eurasian descendants, converts, and even slaves. The monastery was destroyed during an attack in 1632, but the Augustinians resettled in Bandel and built a surviving church there. In the 16th century, the Portuguese settled in Chittagong with the permission of the King of Arakan in 1621. The Augustinians established themselves there and baptized many natives who had been captured in piratical raids in the Ganges Delta area. In the 17th century, Nagari became an important center for Christianity, after approximately 20,000 mainly low-caste Hindus were converted by Antonio di Rosario, son of the Raja of Bushna. By the 1690s, there were 13 Augustinian churches in Bengal. However, most Christians had limited education and tended to migrate to new centers as they grew in importance. This included the English settlement in Kolkata, or back then Calcutta, where the Augustinians had built a chapel. In 1696, the French appointed a Jesuit to serve the Christians at Chandanagar. The Armenians also constructed churches in Chinsura, Kolkata or Calcutta, and Dhaka. Fast forward some centuries later, other Protestant missionary societies such as the London Missionary Society, the Church Missionary Society, and the Church of Scotland also arrived in Bengal. Mary Ann Cook, supported by the Church Missionary Society, established a girls' school, or numerous girls' schools, while Alexander Duff from the Church of Scotland arrived in Calcutta in 1830 and revolutionized Christian education. Duff had emphasized the role of teachers in evoking students' interest and understanding, discouraged rote learning, but promoted the development of the whole person through exercises and games for the purpose of discovering one's own identity. However, his insistence on English as the medium of instruction had both positive and negative consequences, as it was adopted by other missionaries and influenced the government to fund English-based education. Now, while the missionaries made significant contributions to linguistic and educational development in Bengal, their primary goal was through evangelism. Despite establishing missionaries across Bengal, including Dhaka and Chittagong, their conversion efforts had limited success. By 1838, the Baptists had only converted around 3,000 people, including some from other Christian churches. Conversion was hindered by family and social ostracism, as well as opposition from nearby groups in rural areas. But Duff had focused on the Bengali Hindu intelligentsia, who were already exposed to Western secular ideas. While a few individuals converted, mass conversions were rare, with an exception being the Kartabhajas in the Krishnanagar area, who shared some beliefs with Christianity and were receptive due to economic and environmental challenges. The Baptists had some success around Borishal, where a Christian community of mainly Namasudra originally grew to 4,278 members by 1877. However, these communities were financially dependent on missionary support, reinforcing a sense of missionary paternalism. After 1947, post-partition, and the resulting aftermath of India achieving independence, the city settlement, now known as Dhaka, had harbored the most ethnic Bengalis who were fellow cultural followers and speakers of the sacred Bengali language. It became the center for the Roman Catholic Archbishop and the Anglican Bishop. In North India and Pakistan, there was a movement towards union between the Anglican and other Protestant denominations, which was realized in November of 1970. When Bangladesh gained independence in 1971, the Church of Bangladesh was established through the merger of Anglican and Presbyterian communities. The Bangladesh Baptist Sangha, including the congregation founded by the Baptist Missionary Society, now had 15,000 members. The largest denomination in Bangladesh is presently the Roman Catholic Church with 6 dioceses in Dhaka, Chittagong, Dinajpur, Khulna, Mayamin Singh, and Rajashahi. The Catholic population is estimated to be about 221,000 out of a total Christian population of 500,000. The Catholic Church has numerous parish churches, priests, brothers, nuns, catechists, and educational institutions, from healthcare and welfare alike. Now, I should be also not to be in remiss of not including some notable figures during this historical timeline, including Bijoy Nicephorus de Cruz of the Roman Catholic faith and the current Archbishop of Dhaka, the revered educationist, linguist, and Bengali Christian missionary, and first president of the Bengal Christian Association, Krishna Mohan Banerjee. Of course, as we had learned earlier, as well as covering the revered freedom fighter Kali Charan Banerjee, all of whom have had concretely solidified the presence and significant influence of Christianity and crucially played the key roles in the intersection of Christian faith and its teachings in the educational, social, and political reformations and societal progress of both East and West Bengal. Those arriving outside of Bengal, including Father Macbeth from the UK, had served with the Oxford Mission Charity Program, a community development project assisting in those who were historically marginalized across the provincial region now known as Borishal in Bangladesh. Between the years 1965 to 1970, one night, plagued with heavy rainfall, a group of radicalists arrived unannounced to the father's residence, demanding cash money in exchange for retaining his own life. It is believed from an insider that after feeling compelled, after facing such a life-threatening situation, he had gone to withdraw an unknown amount of lump sum cash to be handed to the intruders threatening him, but insisted that that money would instead go to the ministry. And of course, an inevitable clash and a violent turn of events resulted in his tragic death. His life and legacy, though, is honored today, from his lifelong contributions to the ministry mission, and of course the sacrifice he made, giving up his own life, affirming his beliefs. Another individual to be honorably mentioned, I believe, is Father Rigby from Italy, who also served with the Boreal Oxford Mission charity program, whose contributions also advanced the outreach and impact created by the ministry. His tragic end resulted in brutal martyrdom as well, but the impact that these individuals, I believe, withstands the tests of time. Their existence serves as a reflection of the significant effect that the role of Christianity exists, and that it still has a place, and that it's only continuing to grow in both Bengal, West Bengal, and in Bangladesh. In conclusion, for those of you still with me at this point, to acknowledge the history of Christianity, the events that impacted generations, the martyrs and historical figures whose tragic ends, yet commemorative life stories, ultimately serve as an imperative axiom in shaping the discourse of defining the identity and international role in today's contemporary context of India, and by extension Bangladesh and South Asia. With this topic being of such personal significance to myself as a Canadian citizen with Bengali ethnic heritage, my hope is that in the near future, as we are as proud to be currently coexisting amongst each other with civility and social harmony in a country like Canada, that also on this historic day, Indian Christian Day, the social discussions regarding ethnic, national, cultural, and even religious identity continues in the direction that it adheres to, in the most exact qualities that I mentioned before, of civility, social harmony, abundant positivity, and widespread coexistence, felt through the sentiments of empathy and compassion, irrespective of our various multi-denominational or multi-dimensional backgrounds. We are not just recognized and acknowledged for our compassion, but we strive to exercise and implement it in our day-to-day lives. Despite all the things that could potentially divide us, we strive to unite together through coexistence, through the same teachings that we've all been brought up and raised in knowing. I believe it's done for the greatest virtue of preserving humanity, for both our fellow human beings, but in our own internal selves. Whatever calling that we decide to undertake in serving a greater vision and undertaking a mission that is bigger than ourselves, I think, or if we're simply just living our best lives, presenting our best foot forward, despite sometimes teetering towards our worst self sometimes, I strive to preserve Christ's teachings vested in me towards all, while at the same time acknowledging a sense of reconnection, sometimes even reconciliation of my own roots. It's all part of the journey. In closing, Shubho Bharitriyo Christo Dibosh. Happy Indian Christian Day to all of you, and thank you again for this surreal opportunity and memorable experience to be able to share with you all today. Dhanyabad. Thank you.